Hello everyone and welcome back to another Fallout 76 Weapon Spotlight. Today we're going to be taking a look at a quad explosive pipe pistol in the hands of my Stealth Guerrilla character. This is an interesting one with an interesting build. I do try to eke out as much damage with the build as I can, but really it's more about driving up intelligence to maximize XP gains. So it's a bit of a compromise. I basically use this character primarily as a score grinder, so I can grab as many of those weekly repeatables for gaining XP as possible. One quick little bit of housekeeping before we get into everything. So far, I've been calling all of these weapon videos One Wasteland Weapon Spotlights, but in a few weeks, we're going to have the Steel Dawn update coming out. In my titles, thumbnails, and descriptions, I'll be incorporating that as well. I'll still be doing the videos the same way, but just referencing that it's the Steel Dawn era is a good way to acknowledge that over time, things are going to change in Fallout 76. Things that work really well in one iteration of the game might not be as great in the future, or vice versa. I'm not expecting any major balance changes with this new update, but you never know. That'll be a way for people to have just a quick reference as to whether or not something might have changed in the game from when the video was made to when you're actually watching it. Alright, enough housekeeping. Remember, if you like this, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. You know how all that works at this point, I'm sure. Let's take a look at the build. As always, I've included timestamps here so that if you just want to jump ahead to the action, you can. But for those who want to see all the details, that's going to be available right now. Let's start with my mutations. Alright, first up we've got Adrenal Reaction, which is going to give us more damage at low health. This is a low health build with unyielding armor to maximize our intelligence, so that makes a lot of sense. We've got Bird Bones and Marsupial, so we can jump high and land softly. Carnivore to multiply the benefits from eating meat. For me, primarily that comes from Scorchbeast brains, because they give us a big intelligence boost when we eat those. Eagle Eyes increases perception and critical damage. That's important for a pistol build. Egghead boosts intelligence once again. Scaly Skin is going to give me a little more damage resistance, and Speed Demon makes me move faster and reload faster. So all important factors for a build like this. Next up, let's just take a quick look at the special. Now, the big one to look at here is intelligence. I've got that boosted all the way up to 37. That's because I am running a full set of unyielding armor, and I'm also wearing a set of shielded undershirt and jeans under armor. So that is casual under armor. So what you want to look for there is the shielded lining for casual under armor. That gives me extra charisma, but most importantly, it gives me 3 extra intelligence. So if you're trying to boost up that intelligence for XP, that's a good way to do it. As of now, I'm not running any special buffs for intelligence or anything, but you can get it considerably higher than that with the right food and chem buffs. So bear that in mind, but that's just the baseline for that build. And that's why it works so well in terms of building up XP over time. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the weapon itself. It's a quad pipe auto pistol. So I've got the powerful automatic receiver on it to do the most damage. Got an aligned long barrel, a true grip, a perforating magazine, and a reflex sight and a suppressor. True grip and aligned long barrel are all going to help with hip fire accuracy, recoil, all that good stuff. Perforating magazine is the best for armor penetration. Under normal circumstances where you don't have a quad weapon, you might go with something different to give you a little more ammo capacity, but with a quad, really nothing to worry about there, so that works just fine. Of course, our secondary effect is exploding ammunition, and in this one, our VATS critical meter fills 15% faster, which synergizes pretty well with the overall build, which is a guerrilla with lots of VATS critical stuff built in. Because as we all know, pistols are pretty underpowered in Fallout 76, so if we want to get something decent out of them, we've got to play around with some of those other benefits. We can't just, it's not like a stealth commando where you can just hold down the trigger and murder everything. We've got to play with the mechanics and play within the mechanics of the game a little bit to get ahead. So all of those effects work pretty well together. Let's go ahead and take a look at the legendary perks. So for legendary perks, we start off with Ammo Factory. That's going to help us craft more ammunition, which honestly on a gorilla that uses mostly 10mm and 38 ammo, it's probably not necessary. But what can I say? I like being able to craft a ton of ammo. And the next one is Follow Through. This is a sneak build, so Follow Through is a pretty effective perk for this build. With Follow Through, what happens is after you land a sneak attack, you do additional damage to your target. In this case, where it's maxed out, we do additional 40% damage. So that's pretty good. We'll take that. After that, we've got Legendary Luck. In this case, I've got 2 extra points in luck. Eventually, as things progress and I can maximize these a little more, we'll move some points around and things like that, but this lets me take all the VATS critical perks I need, so that's pretty useful. Next up is Perception. So Perception is one of the stats that I didn't get a lot of points in the base build, so this helps with VATS accuracy, and it lets us take a couple extra perks, which, well, that never hurt anybody, so that works for me. After that, we've got Legendary Endurance. Legendary Endurance is going to let us take a few extra perks that we didn't necessarily have room for before. And once that gets maxed out, that'll be pretty effective. And we end with Legendary Charisma. Same idea. We get to take more Charisma perks. So all of these things work together to let us take more perks throughout the build to kind of maximize things a little bit. And with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at the base build. All right, so first up, we've got 2 points in Strength for Bandolier. That's going to reduce our ammo weight. It's kind of a dump stat for a build like this, much like it would be with a Stealth Commando. Under Perception, we've got 8 points in Perception due to having some extras from the Legendary perk. That lets me take Tank Killer, which now applies to pistols. Crack Shot, which is going to give us a little more range and accuracy when we're sighted. I don't use that a ton with a weapon like this, but there are other weapons where I do, so that comes in handy. 1 point in Concentrated Fire. This is an automatic pistol, so really no use for the maxed out Concentrated Fire with this build, but in the future, with a single shot pistol, that might change. And then Glow Sight just as an extra card there for something else. Under Endurance, I've got 1 point in Fireproof, 1 in Radical to give me a little extra strength and carry weight because I'm gating my health with rads. And then 2 points in Revenant, which gives me a 50% damage boost if I'm revived by another player. So that can be very useful. Fireproof, I'll eventually max that out just because it kind of makes sense to. But I also have a dense mod on my armor, so not really that big of a factor. But for now, it's fine. Charisma, I've got at 7. That's partially the result of the Legendary perk as well. That's going to let me max out Tenderizer and run Lone Wanderer. Some people will run Suppressor in there, but I find in general I'm killing things quickly enough that Suppressor isn't that much of a factor. So Lone Wanderer is going to give me a little more AP refresh and also help me reduce the damage I take. Under Intelligence, this is kind of the one where we want to max it out no matter what. So there are some things in here that I don't always use or maybe aren't that useful, like batteries included. I don't usually carry a ton of energy ammo, but from time to time I do. So why not use it? We've got Nerd Rage to max out damage and give us a little more survivability at low health. And then this is an explosive weapon, so I've got Demolition Expert on. In this case, I actually only had 3 points in it. So, in perfect world, we'd have 5 and it would do a little more damage with the explosive effect. But honestly, I think we're going to get the point of this thing with just the 3 points. It'll do just fine. Under Agility, we've got Covert Operative to max out our sneak attack damage. 1 point in Sneak, because with all the unyielding armor, our agility is really high. So I don't know that we desperately need 3 points in Sneak there. It definitely helps a little bit, but it's not a huge factor. It just means we have to be a little more careful as we go. I've got 2 points in Gun Fu. That's going to automatically switch targets in VATS and do a little extra damage. 5 points in adrenaline. So again, as we get those big mobs, damage is going to build up. And the big thing you're going to notice here is I've only got 1 point in each of the Guerrilla cards. Turns out that even maxing those out, the difference was only a couple of points. So it really didn't make a ton of sense to leave some of those other cards off for just a few points of base damage. Under luck, we've got Bloody Mess. So same kind of thing, probably some diminishing returns, but it was still pretty effective. So we've also got Psychopath, Four-Leaf Clover, Critical Savvy. There's a bunch of different critical cards in there to boost up the number of VATS criticals we get. I find that that's more important than boosting up the damage they do. Being able to hit one every other shot or every third shot is far more effective in my opinion. We've got Serendipity, which is going to help us avoid damage at low health. And finally, of course, we have Starched Genes and Class Freak, so we can keep our mutations and not really suffer any notable negative effects from them. So that's the build. Let's jump into the Whitespring and go kill some things. All right, here we are at the Whitespring Golf Club. Let's head on in and see what kind of damage we can do to some ghouls. I think we're going to do pretty well with this weapon. We're going to do what we normally do. We'll VATS heads and all that good stuff. So yeah, pretty effective there with our sneak attacks. And we've got lots of VATS criticals popping off. The damage from the explosive effect also gives us a little extra boost there. So you can see with a halfway decent legendary weapon like this, we're doing pretty well. And this one doesn't even do any extra damage. So not so bad. All right, who else is hiding out in here? We are at low health, so we do want to be careful. And it's explosive, so I don't want to get mobbed at too close range where I might hurt myself. So far so good. Not quite as much damage per shot as we'd get out of something like a Fixer or a Handmade, but you can see that this is still very effective. Few shots to take down the big guys. Nothing to worry about there. Keep some cover. So far, so good. Let's move along. All right, sneaking into the next dining area. We'll let these guys wake up. All right, not too bad. And you can see the damage. Once we get those VATS criticals, it really pops up. Excellent so far. I think we can see this weapon, at least for these soft targets, holds up very, very well. Even without any extra damage buffs from the main prefix. We'll just sneak down here past the pool tables, keep a little bit of distance between us and our target. So far, so good. Let's head downstairs. All right, and our first targets will be in the pro shop, and you can see some goo there from another trip I took here not long ago, but it looks like everything has refreshed. Very good. Killed off a legendary nice and quick. Anybody else rushing our way? No, so far we're okay. All right, salvaged a Saltron head. There's some garbage. Oh, who else have we got in? Let's sneak around back. I'm pretty sure I heard a Wendigo running around. That's a nice target there, and one here. And I saw the Wendigo down by the lockers. Let's see if we can take him down. So far, so good. VATS penetrating the wall there. I'll take what I can get. A couple wandering in from outside. Anybody else hanging around there? No, we'll head back and clean up the last two. We've got a little library lounge kind of area here, so... And another legendary, we'll take that. Another easy target. And another suppressor's weapon. All right, and he was a little close, but that's okay. Serendipity saved us, and I think the dense chest armor we have is gonna keep us from being damaged by those explosives. Anybody else hanging out back here? Nope. I think we're good to go. Let's head over to the deep and take out some commies. All right, here we go. On the catwalk as usual. And liberators are parachuting in. So far, they're being handled just fine. Even at range, we got that communist soldier. Not too bad. Can we take you out while you're hanging out up there? For some reason, I think the Liberators just sort of exist in the ceiling here until you make your way in, and then they drop down. So Liberators aren't too bad, but we just got ourselves in danger. Let's get out of danger. Anybody coming around the corner for us? Somebody is. Yep, Liberator. Still in danger. That's no good. And if I look to my left here, there is an area we can go in. Sometimes there's a cave cricket here. And yeah, maybe that's what's got us in danger. No, we're still in danger. All right, well, we're just going to move ahead. There we go. Back in caution. So it was probably the cave cricket. And we're back in danger again already. Okay, so somebody sees us out there. Sometimes this area can be a little buggy. I've had communist soldiers that are just sort of hanging out on the wall under the catwalk here. Sometimes that can throw us off. If we get in danger again, whatever, we'll just move forward. There's one way down there. So far, we're okay. Let's just be nice and sneaky. Not do anything too rash. Take your stim pack and your 45, and this is a great spot to come if you need to stock up on stim packs. Pretty squishy enemies, and lots of them drop stims. All right, very good. They're coming up the catwalk. So this one is this run is a little out of the ordinary for the deep, but that's okay. So far, we're handling these guys just fine. Let's skip past some of this walking and jump ahead. We'll head to the back of the complex. We've got a communist soldier there. Oh, it was a communist commander. Usually the commander's in power armor. So things are definitely a bit out of the ordinary here. But that's okay. We'll head back around front and go up the fire escape. We've usually got somebody hanging out up here waiting for us with a missile launcher. No big deal so far. A little bit weird with how things spawned in, but that's okay. Sometimes the commies can be unpredictable. That's what makes it fun. Anybody up here? Yep, there you are. How you doing, buddy? You're not doing so good anymore. Couple of shots and business is taken care of. Let's head inside. I think some of these guys came running outside. That's all right. We'll take care of the ones on the stairs, and there's a couple others up there. We saw the splash damage hit them. I'll take every little bit I can get. I don't know if he went down. I don't think he did. Do a little tactical reload there. 2 more. And yeah, much like the ghouls at Whitespring, these are largely soft targets. And yes, I will take those plasma rifles so I can scrap them for mods. So I've got some interesting plasma pistols that might be fun to run, but I need to modify them a little bit first. All right, 1 down. There should be at least 1 commander in power armor up here. We'll see if we find him. I did come through here not that long. There's a commander not in power armor. Are you my power armor commander? I did come through here not long ago with another character, so maybe that's throwing off the power armor guys. Are we done? Are those footsteps or things falling? Those are my footsteps. Okay. Very good. We're all done here. Let's head over to Solomon's Pond and see how this thing does against a behemoth. So far, I think the thing that's been working best for us has probably been the explosive effect. That gives us that little extra damage. The quad effect doesn't matter so much against soft targets that go down in a couple of bullets, but we might be glad we have it here. Let's go ahead and get a headshot lined up, and we can see the damage jump up from follow-through. Very nice. So, not too bad. We definitely would have had to reload in the middle of that if this wasn't a quad. So we didn't have to, which is very, very helpful. between that and the explosive and the legendary perks and all that stuff, this weapon's doing really good. This is why when I do my script videos, I often say, hey, don't sleep on the pipe weapons. They're not as bad as you think they are. So now here we are at a Fissure site, and we're just going to disable that event so we can go hunt Scorched and a Scorchbeast, because that's really what we're here for. We don't need to follow around Mr. Messenger for exceptional amounts of time. And I think I better take a Radix Diluted so we don't overwhelm the rads. Gonna have to get a little closer here. That's one of the drawbacks to the Guerrilla build, is you don't have quite as much range as you do with rifles. But we can see here, even at range, we're doing okay. Let's get a little closer, get these guys lined up a little. Come on. We want to kill them first to build up adrenaline to take down the Scorchbeast. Now, I don't have a perk to cripple the Scorchbeast on. There is one, but I'm not using it because I want to keep my damage. Alright, so far so good. Taking out a bunch of these guys. And sounds like we've got one or two left. And there we go. Now we're doing pretty well with VATS. And now it's your turn, Mr. Scorchbeast. And here the range hurts us a little bit. But once we start landing shots on the target, it's not too bad. Where you at? And again, having the quad effect helps us here. We're not, we would have needed to reload 4 times there to get half the damage taken off. So very effective so far. You can see the increase in damage from the VATS criticals. And he is down. So, pretty painless at the Fissure site. Another little victory here so far for this little Stealth Guerrilla build that is not perfect to begin with. I think we did pretty good. Let's kill off some floaters and super mutants, and then conclude with some final thoughts. Well, that was pretty painless. All right, let's move on up into town and find some super mutants to kill. And we've got our guy up at the water tower. Let's see how we do at range here. So, not too bad. Definitely a lot of misses there, but the damage fall off wasn't too bad due to the range. And we've usually got a mutant and his dog at the end of the road here. Yes, we do. How we doing today, Mr. Mutie? So far, I'm doing great with this weapon, and you're really not, which is kind of what we're going for. So far, so good. Tactical reload there, and that's really just force of habit. Of course, because it's a quad weapon, there's really no need to do that often, but there's also no harm in going in fully loaded when you know there's going to be 4 or 5 super mutants coming at you. So even these guys that have higher armor ratings, with a little bit of range in front of us, we're still taking them down just fine. I am happy with this weapon so far. Very, very happy indeed. All right, stay in caution. Level 100, down in just a few shots. I'm pretty pleased. All right, and of course the explosive effect helps us because it gives us a little area of effect damage. And I also think it gives us a little bit of a stagger chance, but I'm not 100% sure of that. If you know if it gives a stagger chance, you can feel free to pipe up in the comments, but I think it does. Anybody in here? Nope, looks like we cleaned that place out. We should have a couple living upstairs yet. Usually 1 or 2 on the top floor that don't make their way down to the street. Oh, maybe not this time. That is an interesting way for a goo pile to land. And you can see how they don't have a texture on the bottom, which is why it's so problematic if you goo pile a Scorchbeast in the air. But yeah, looks like we cleared out town. We'll head up the road, take out the last couple of muties up here. We've got a boy and his dog up the road. Just looking around my leftover goo piles from before. You'll eventually see that weapon too. And one more. Let's clean up Huntersville. Finish cleaning up Huntersville. What? Okay, so he goes up the stairs and then he magically goes down the stairs. That's fine. He's going to die just the same. There we go. All done. Huntersville is all cleaned up. Let's head back to camp and just have a little talk about my conclusions on the quad explosive pipe pistol. Well, you all saw how the weapon performed. I think it did pretty well. Nothing really posed a major challenge at all. No need for repetitive or inconvenient reloads, no magazines running dry mid-fight, which is pretty much the point of a quad weapon. The explosive effect, even without maxing out Demolition Expert, added some valuable area damage and definitely boosted the overall effectiveness of the weapon. Pistols and guerrilla weapons have definitely taken a beating with all the One Wasteland balance changes, but as you could see here, they can still be very useful, especially if you pair them up with some sort of utility like high intelligence for XP grinding. Doing something like that necessitates running at low health, and mixing that with perks for low health damage, along with sneak attack bonuses and VATS criticals, make for a build that may not be quite as powerful as it used to be, but still does very well. Now, I will say that if you try to use this at full health, you probably won't have as great a time. It'll still be doable, but without those low health damage buffs, it's significantly harder to do. In my experience, pistols and guerrilla weapons have a really tough time being viable without the benefits that come with being low health. Even with that, you still probably aren't going to go slay a Scorchbeast queen or take down Earl solo with a quad pipe pistol. But for most players, a weapon and a build like this can still be a lot of fun. And that's going to be it for this one, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, if you liked this video, found it useful, or anything in between, go ahead and hit that like button, leave a comment, and most importantly, subscribe so you don't miss any of the Fallout 76 content I upload every week on the channel. Till next time, I'm Fisty McRib.